So this woman, Shabana Mahmood, who is the Home Secretary in the UK government, made some comments that are so terrifying and bleak. I couldn't believe they were real. I thought this must be AI. It's not AI. Here's what she said. She basically wants to create a digital panopticon. If you're not familiar, the panopticon, I'm going to see if I can it was this prison surveillance system that was devised years and years and years ago by allowing a single guard to watch everyone in every cell. So it was determined to be actually so completely inhumane that it's not in use. We don't build prisons like this because they're completely inhumane. But essentially, there's a central guard tower, and as you can see, it's this circular sort of design that allows every single prisoner to be watched at all hours at any time. Basically, there is not a time that you are not being surveilled and watched. Very bleak, terrifying. Again, it's this concept from the 18th century, allowing a guard to potentially watch all inmates without them knowing if they're being watched, thereby inducing self-discipline through internalized surveillance. Horrible. We don't want anything like that. But in the UK, they want to do this for the internet. This is their dream of the internet. This is why they're trying to, quote unquote, ban social media for under 16s. They don't want a safer internet. They just want a more surveilled internet because that's all they care about. So this quote recently came up from this woman, Shabana Mahmood, and she said this is like a model, basically, for the criminal justice system. So in an interview with Tony Blair, Miss Mahmood, who served as the UK's Justice Secretary from July to September 2025, said that her role was to achieve, by means of AI and technology, what Jeremy Bentham tried to do with his Panopticon. So basically, she suggested that the concept could be extended to society and that her vision was that the eyes of the state can be on you at all times. She also spoke of ways to integrate AI into policing beyond live facial recognition technology. I think there's big space here for being able to harness the power of AI and tech to get ahead of criminals, frankly, which is what we're trying to do. What? Last August, the UK government announced plans for a pilot scheme which will use AI to detect, track, and predict where devastating knife crime is likely to occur. This is crazy. But yeah, this is obviously very dystopian and appalling. And the fact that you have people from the Labour government, and I don't know that much about UK politics. As I understood, isn't the Labour government supposed to be like liberal? Like, isn't she supposed to be like liberal? Am I wrong? Isn't she supposed to be liberal? Maybe she's not. She's talking about illegal migration and stuff. Anyway, um, but yeah, she's talking to Tony Blair. I think she's like the equivalent of a Democrat, essentially. Either way, once again, people in the UK have the worst ideas ever. So yeah, we don't want a digital panopticon with AI, but the fact that she's coming out and sort of saying it, and again, I think she was saying it in relation to like people that were like on house arrest or people that were just out of prison or something. Okay, there's like no boundaries between, like, if you roll out a system like that, it will be abused. Okay, there's no world in which it's not abused. So Together Association, which I've talked about before, they do really great work in the UK. They've been fighting digital ID, which it seems like the UK is actually going to get, because they said, don't worry. Keir Starmer said, don't worry, guys, we're not doing digital ID. We're just going to ban social media for everyone under the age of 16, which requires online identity verification. So, okay, so they're basically getting online identity verification. But Together Association put out this tweet, and they have this petition where they say the Home Office's consultation on expanding facial recognition tech wrongly assumes that the British public has consented to the introduction of a national biometric surveillance system. That consent has never been sought or given. I think that's a very good point. It has never been like nobody consents to this stuff. They get people on board too by manufacturing this moral panic about kids and the internet and kids and social media, and then before you know it, you've got a digital AI panopticon based on all this data that they're harvesting. Together says live facial recognition is an indiscriminate mass surveillance tool by design. It ends anonymity in public spaces, treats the entire population as potential suspects, and overturns the presumption of innocence. Biometric data is the most sensitive personal data that exists, and its automatic collection in public spaces is incompatible with UK's GDPR principles of consent, necessity, and proportionality. The UK is becoming isolated among liberal democracies. The EU AI Act broadly prohibits police use of live facial recognition, and multiple US jurisdictions have restricted or banned it. That's hilarious because they're also rolling it out here. Sorry, guys, they're also rolling it out here. Britain should not become the outlier that normalizes biometric mass surveillance. Unfortunately, guys, they're not the outlier. The US is doing it too. The Home Secretary's the appropriate response is not to create a legal framework to manage a surveillance system, but to prohibit it. I completely agree. The Home Security's biometric Panopticon has no place in a free society. Yes, exactly. And then they have this petition that they're using. Wow, this website looks like shit. Oops, I cursed. This website looks bad, but they do a lot of good work. So, if you are based in the UK, you can go ahead and send this stuff. But basically, it's advocating to prohibit the use of AI, and I think it's really good that they have set that up. Yeah, it's really disturbing, and the fact that it's framed as aspirational, and this woman who is like BFFs with Tony Blair and is supposed to be this liberal woman, like, is out here. And I know liberal in the sense of like the way the Democrats are liberal, but like these people pretend to be against authoritarianism. They pretend that that's what their whole like political party is about. It's like, oh, we're not like reform or whatever. I think is the Conservative Party of the UK. But look at what they're doing. They are more authoritarian than the reformers because although they partner with the reform people on this stuff, like it's very authoritarian. And anyway, yeah, and of course they're doing this at a time when they're also trying to ban kids under the age of 16, which again is not what that's not what it's about at all. That's not what it's about. And I thought there was this good post by Claire Fox, who is, I guess, one of the British MPs. So the government plans to ban access to social media and VPNs. That's another thing, guys, that you need to realize, because they know that when they try to ban social media and when people want to use the internet anonymously, they're going to use VPNs. So they want to ban VPNs as well, which means, again, no anonymity from the web. I just want to play what Claire said, a little bit of it. I'm going to play the rest of it in my longer video next week, which she makes a lot of good points.
On a time in a previous moral panic about children's safety, parents reacted to media and politicians catastrophising by stopping their offspring playing outside unsupervised. The unintended consequences were the creation of what became known as cotton wool kids, prone to risk aversion, anxiety, a lack of resilience and social isolation. Ironically, of course, to compensate, many of those children were forced to cultivate their activities online. Their social interactions became virtual. And here we are. I worry that we risk a similar unintended consequences now if we rush to pass this social media ban for under 16, so I will be opposing Amendment 94A. I know it's become normalised that whatever the social, cultural, moral panics we encounter, we believe we can legislate to make them go away. But I fear this sort of lawmaking can lead to evading tackling difficult problems, an attempted quick-fix solution that can too often create a whole new raft of difficulties down the line. I also noticed that the noble Lord Nash blamed social media for eating disorders, radicalisation, terrorism, mental health epidemic, ADHD, poor behaviour in the classroom, misogyny, violence against women and girls, and on and on. I mean, at this rate, all that Parliament would have to do is to just ban the internet for everyone and all problems would be solved. In fact, I think there's a danger of looking for easy answers and scapegoating social media for all society's ills.
Okay, she goes on. And guys, I know Claire Fox is, I think, kind of crazy on other issues and probably has some really bad opinions. Unfortunately, I think that, like, when it comes to fighting against mass surveillance and fighting against the moral panic, we kind of got to take who we can get, like, on this issue. And ironically, some of the very few people that are willing to speak out are like these, like, conservatives, conspiracy theory people, like even people that just, like, I think have really, like, principled beliefs on this specific issue. So yeah, I mean, don't, like, listen to anything else this woman has to say, but this speech was very good and she is spot on about all of it. So yeah, I mean, it's just depressing that it's, aside from her, they all went along with it. They all excitedly went along with it because, again, we're in the midst of this terrifying moral panic. So once again, the UK has lost the plot. I will be posting more about what's going on there in my video on next Friday. So tune into that on my main channel. And speaking of moral panic, I have a new video out today as well that's on my main channel about the history of moral panics. It was actually it was one of my first videos that I posted on that channel when I started it last year, and it got taken down. So I recensored it. Again, you have to make the YouTube censors happy, and hopefully it's not demonetized. And it wasn't even demonetized. I got a strike on my channel for it the first time. So it should be up. But yeah, that's what's going on in the UK.